Good morning, everybody. All right, it looks like we've got a few people logging in, so we'll give them a minute to log in. As you can see, we've got multiple of us. We're back to two for MLS Mondays for those of you who are used to coming weekly. So we had Jason and I for a while, and then you guys have been just stuck with me for the past couple of weeks. And now you've got both myself, Joanna, your MLS director here, and Emily, who is the senior of our staff. I love using the word senior. She's not like younger, but the senior of our staff here and your MLS team. So for those of you who are brand new and haven't been on before, aside from Emily and myself, your MLS staff consists of six of us that are here to help you out with anything that you need MLS related, which is like your matrix system or any of the tools that we also offer you guys. So aside from the two of us, we've got four more running down the hallway here that are here to help you via phone, answering phones, emails, whatever it is that you guys need from 8:30 to 5. So aside from that, we like to do these weekly, the MLS Mondays, where we go through anything that might be inside of Matrix to help you guys out to be more successful in business or any of the adjacent tools. So today, looks like we've got most everybody on, so we'll hop into it. Today, what we're covering are your market data tools. So we've got multiple of these. There's really not just one, and you'll hear that a lot through our different MLS Mondays, whether we're talking about farming or CMAs or anything like that. We've got multiple tools for everything because everybody does business differently. Everybody's brains work differently, and we try to give you the best of all of the worlds when it comes to the tools. So today we're going to go through Domus Analytics. We're going to go through InfoSparks and we're going to go through SunStats. If we have any time left over, we'll also see if we can hop into Matrix because Matrix also has some market data tools that you can use as well. So let me just make sure it's properly sharing and we're good. So out here, this is your lovely dashboard. As you can see, I have favorited some of the tools. So I've got tools up here at the top, but all of your tools are running down here below. Now, like I said, today what we're going to do is we're going to go through Domus Analytics. We are going to go through InfoSparks. And then I said SunStats. As you'll see, there is no SunStats button on here. And that's because it is a Florida Realtors tool. So you're going to find that out on floridarealtors.org. And I'll show you guys how to get to that here towards the end as well. So hopping out into Domus Analytics. This tool, what's really great about this one is it has four different tools inside of it. So it's not just like a one size fits all kind of deal. The way I like to think of this is it running from left to right. You have a simplified version of the data, and then it gets more intricate as you move on the screen this way. And you'll see that when we open up each of the tools. So what you're going to do is click on the logo here at the top to access any one of these four tools in Domus Analytics. So the first one here is a market infographic, and that's exactly what it is. It is simply just an infographic with 6 points of data here on the screen. Now you have a few things that you can change this out with, right? You can change it. Right now I've got it set because it remembered me from last time. Single family residence. You can do everything that's in the MLS, or you could just do lot and land, multifamily. What do you think like we get the most calls about that people want to know about in the MLS?
Definitely residential or
Yeah,
multi-family. I feel like they want to see the numbers more.
Yeah, this has been like a really niche area lately, the multifamily. A lot of people asking questions about that. I think we've got a lot of people that kind of like living together, like looking at different types of living. So any one of these that you would like to analyze, you can click that. And then you also can break it down by city. So it's got automatically all of the cities selected. But, you know, if you're primarily working Cape Coral, maybe Cape Coral and Fort Myers, you can select out your cities. And then you can choose how the data is broken out. Right now it's monthly, but you can also look at it from a weekly standpoint, a quarterly standpoint, yearly or year to date. So once you've got your graph built out, it's here, it's ready for you. You can also hover over it and it'll explain to you what that data is if you don't understand what that parameter is. And then you can use this print button, or you can take a screenshot of it if you want to post it on socials. Maybe you want to put it out in your email, wherever it is that you would like to place it, that's there for you to grab. Now, like I said, when you are using these tools on the Domus Analytics dashboard, it is very, very simplified, and then the data continues to grow as you move from left to right. So if we go next to the market review, let this load for a second, you can now see that we've got far more data than we had previously, and it's a lot more intricate and like the details it gives you for each of those parameters.
Definitely, yeah, so much more.
Yeah. So instead of the 6 we had prior, you can see we've got more data points. Along with those data points, we've got the graphs, and then you've got the month over month and the year over year, or sorry, month over month, year over year on either side here. Again, you can choose out the property type, you can choose out the city, and then you can choose out monthly, weekly, quarterly, yearly, right, by clicking this. And then it'll compare the week over week, and then that week compared to the one in the previous year as well. So lots of different ways to play with the data. And what's great about this too is you'll notice it's interactive. So if you wanted to sit down with a client, whether it be a buyer, seller, they're trying to make decisions right now, right? You can click into this and you can hover over it and look at each of those data points at that time. So you can see here November 2025, January, and you can hop through all of the data points here. So when you look at the median sales price, you can see that it's up 0.3% from this time last year, and it's up 1.6% just from last month. But same thing. So closed sales are down when we look at last month to this month, which makes sense, right? I know a lot of people say we've gotten rid of season, right? But we still see that a lot, especially around here. Would you say it's a lot quieter?
Yes, definitely has been.
Yeah, we still feel the seasons here. So, but then you'll see that closed sales are up 11.2% from last year, which is really, really interesting. Median days on market, everybody's obsessed with that right now. The biggest call we're getting right now. Days on market. So, obviously it's up compared to the past month because again, we're looking at off season. But it's actually the days on market is down compared to last year. So everyone freaking out, you know, that we're just continuing days on market are just continuing to increase. Well, we're feeling the pressure of season, but you look at last year, we're doing a little bit better than last year. List price received, got median price sold by square foot. I know a lot of people are obsessed with either the main sale price number or the square foot number, depending on what you're looking at. How many new listings are coming in onto the market, active inventory overall that's on the market, and months of supply that are on the market. Everybody who's trying to look at like the turnover rate, that months of supply number has been really, really popular lately too. So next up is the market insights graph that we can build out. Now, this is where you get really, really detail oriented. And for those of you who are obsessed with data, or maybe you're like my data nerds, we get like that sometimes here when we're really trying to dig for a very like niche specific topic. You're going to come to this because this is a chart builder where you can completely build out your experience and the story that you're trying to tell. Obviously, it's not a story that you can manipulate. The data is the data, but you can really choose what kind of a story you're trying to tell. So first and foremost, you can pick out what you want to, what markets you want to look at for when. So we're going to keep it for June of 2026, right? We don't have July in there yet. Once we're done with July, it takes a couple of days to get in there, and then you'll be able to pull July numbers. And then you're going to choose your parameter. So right now we're looking at median sales price, but there are a lot of parameters that you can choose from in here. Okay. So you got a lot more choices. Your first tool we looked at had 6. The next tool had like, I don't know, somewhere around 10. Now you can choose from any type of data point you want to here that's in the MLS. We'll go to days on market since everybody's so obsessed with this one lately. So right away, it's going to show you what your days on market are currently for the timeline that you chose. So June 2026, right now we're sitting at 52 days on market. It's down 15% compared to June of 2025, which was 62 average days on market. What's great though is you can then, if you want to change out the story, choose what you're comparing it to, right? So we're looking at overall the data for June of 2026. but maybe we don't want to compare it to last year. Maybe we want to compare it to just a couple months ago. And this is really great when you're sitting down with your clients who are saying, well, 4 months ago when I looked at the market, oh, okay, well, let's go ahead. Let's like compare that. You've got so many people in specific situations where maybe the year over year doesn't speak to them, or like the last month to this month doesn't speak to them. You can truly choose what it is that you're trying to compare it to. Especially for those people who sometimes you've got situations where they bought a house, just 6 months ago, something happens and they've got to move right away. Well, the market shifts dramatically, but to them, they feel like they just moved 6 months ago and they're still in the same market.
Right.
It's not the same market. I mean, we change month to month. So you can choose, exactly what you're comparing the current data to the last one. And even so, like if you're trying to look at a story, you could compare like 3 months ago to 3 months and a year ago. Totally editable there. The the graph that you're creating here, you can also change. So most of the data does best with a line graph, right? That's what we've got right here. You can see the change of days on market, how it dramatically dropped off during the COVID years, 21 through 22, and we've continued to climb since then. However, if you were looking at pricing and comparisons and things like that, you could do the columned bar graph, the comparison column bar graph. We don't have anything we're comparing right now, so that's why you just get that blob. And then the zip code map. This one is really, really popular for social medias, right? So this is something really cool, especially for days on market. I like this one because it's such a hot topic, right? But this is going to break everything out by zip code, so you can see that in the three. I don't have my glasses on, guys. Sorry, I'm old.
142.
Why we brought Emily. She
Yeah.
got good eyes. So you can see that they've got 63 days on market, but then you come over to these other ones and some of them have 56, 52, but just a really, really good visual. You've got the download and the copy button right here if you wanted to throw that out on socials. And you can zoom in if you've got bad eyes like me. Zoom out. But again, different types of way to break out that data. The data right now, each data point represents a month because I have monthly selected, but we could spread that chart out and do weekly, quarterly. So if we select quarterly, you'll see it gets a lot smoother. So the data points are only by quarter. And then you also can do comparisons in this. So breakouts. Maybe I want it broken out by property type or by county, right? It's all in one right now. But if we broke it out by property type, it might take a minute to think because it's got to do several different things. Let's see what we've got selected here. I've just got single family. So if I add in condo, and you can see that the filter button is right here. Now, because I have it separated out by property type, you can see we've got the condo and townhomes versus single family, right? So you can have it all in one graph, or you could have them compare and contrast each other. Maybe you wanted to select multiple cities. You could say, hey, I want to do it by city. And you would select, I don't know, Cape Coral and Fort Myers and show a comparison. There's a lot of times where we sit down and have conversations with people and they're like, yeah, but this, yeah, but that. Well, I saw this online. I saw that online. Everybody comes to the table with so much misinformation now. And you could say, oh, okay, yeah, well, you were looking at data in Fort Myers and you can see that that's on the graph, right here. However, now you're shopping in Cape Coral and that's on the graph over here, right? It's all about the conversations that you're having with your customers and exactly building out the data to curtail to their either objections, questions, or, they think that they know everything and you need to be able to educate them on the differences between things. But again, so select out how you want that graph built. Do you want the line graph? Do you want the columns? I call them bar graphs. Do you want the zip code map? How do you want that data broken out timely? And then do you want it to compare and contrast? Do you want breakouts of any kind? But then you also have a much bigger filter button here than we had before. So previously it was just the property types. You could choose the city. And now you have all of these different things. So property type, county, city, these are the geo area codes for those of you who are obsessed with geo area codes. If you don't know what they are, then don't bother. It's okay. Your zip codes, you can filter out new construction. So do you want it included or not? Do you want just lot and land? They built this one out specific for us down here in Southwest Florida, right? Domus Analytics is a national tool, but they've applied this one for us because there was such a need for people who wanted to compare and contrast the data if it had waterfront or no waterfront, and then golf access. We know that makes a big difference around here. For the closed data, the financing type, really, really cool, especially for those of you who are like veteran specials or going after FHA or anything like that. A really cool way to break out the data. And then also they've added in for us the subdivisions. So especially here in Southwest Florida, we've got communities on every single corner.
Yeah.
Everybody's in an HOA. And it, really, really can skew the data if you're looking in the wrong community. If you're talking to somebody who's in Pelican Preserve and looking at a community that's, totally different with a different set of rules, fees, structures, anything like that, you want to make sure you have it in the right subdivision. Other than that, you can also select out a certain type of price range, the square footage for the living area, when it was built, bedrooms, bathrooms, and acreage. So a lot of filters here for you to be able to build out your story in whatever conversation piece it is that you're having. I like to think of like the other market tools as, those are really cool things that are generic, right? You can put them in your newsletters, you can put them on socials, but this one is more so for like the conversation piece. So
Definitely, yeah.
all right. So last but not least is one of my favorite tools on Domus Analytics, and that is the pricing insights tool. Now, this one is where everybody kind of gets really squirrely on us, and that's okay because it is a lot of fun to play with. And I will tell you, like, if you're confused, go out, play with it. You cannot break it. Nobody's broken Domus Analytics to my knowledge.
You have to play with it just to get more hang of it.
Exactly. So in here, though, you want to make sure that the filters will automatically turn on. Do not turn them off because as you can see, there is absolutely nothing there and no graph. You have to fill it out for something to happen first. Now, what this tool is best for is if you are in multiple different situations. First and foremost, if you're sitting down with a seller and they're trying to discuss how to price their home. Second off, I like to think of it as if you're sitting down with a buyer and they're trying to figure out what to offer. This is a great way to compare and contrast your property to another. So we're going to pick out a specific one. We'll go with a single family residence. We're going to make this one up in my brain. This probably doesn't exist. In Cape Coral. And we're just going to say select all. It'll automatically just select the ones that are within Cape Coral. If you wanted to select out your specific geocode, you certainly can. And then we're not going to select all. We're going to we'll go for this one. And you'll notice it's got in black, select a few of these. 33904 should have some good data points. There we go. So you want to make sure that you select out something from each column, whether you have selected all or these. If there is data points that aren't showing up on here, it means that you're missing something, okay? You can't leave any one of these blank because it just will not pull the data. So right now we're looking at active, closed, and pending data, which is great for the example I'm giving you guys. And then we're going to look at just the last month of data. You can do the last 3 months, the last 6 months, or the last 12 months, and you can filter out the price range, right? So if you start looking at a really like niche geocode and there's like not a lot of data points out here, go ahead and like look at the last 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, start to widen your parameters if you don't see enough. All right, so now that we've got those selected out, we're going to go ahead and hide the filters so we can see the full map. And you see here, we've got a lot going on this page. But before we get into what this graph means and what all of those stars on our screen mean, let's look at this side of the screen. Proposed list price and proposed square footage. So this is where you would plug in your parameters of what either your sellers think the house is worth, or maybe your buyers think they should offer, whatever it is that you're trying to figure out for pricing. So let's go ahead and put in here for this example, we'll put 350,000. And then we're going to put in 1,500 square foot home. So you can see once we put this in here that our speedometers, as I like to call them, they have moved to show us exactly where we land in comparison to other listings, right? So 25% of the listings are below 350,000. So you can see where we're in the green. Obviously, this is a really, really good deal.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's made up in my head, so it is a good deal. We all have a wish list, right? So here you can see it's really in the green. So it's very, very likely, if you're sitting down with a seller, that's what these greens are based off of. If you're sitting down with a seller, is very, very likely to sell at that, right? For the square footage compared to the other square footage and for that price, right? You're in the green. If I start to enter in some obnoxious numbers, well, we won't call them obnoxious, but if I start to put in some higher numbers, you can see how we've dramatically changed for the price per square foot and the price overall for that area based on the other listings. So you can see here as I've been entering these in, right? Because this is like a simplified version of checking out like where we compare to other listings. However, the more detailed version lies here in the scatter plot graph. For those of you who ever had to take any kind of statistics courses, you might be having some PTSD right now, but that's okay because we're all here together with it. I never enjoyed statistics and I never enjoyed the scatter plot graphs, but I've got to tell you, I love this thing. So here's what's happening on this graph here. The different colors. The dark ones are pending, and you can see when I hover over pending, it really brings forward all of the pending data. The light blues are the actives and the orange are closed. Somebody called it red the other day. That's fine. Maybe I'm colorblind. Who knows? So you've got those data points here. These are all the different properties fed in from the MLS. So what you're looking at is this right here. The black line is the average price of all of these. This is the average price per square foot. So on average, most of your properties land right about here. Okay. But your example that you've typed in is the one that shows up here in light gray, this light gray line running. So this is what we entered in for the price, right? 850. And then this is what it lands at per square foot because it comes out to 567 per square foot. So if you were having a conversation with sellers, buyers, whatever, what have you, you can say to them, well, Mr. Seller, the reason why your house isn't selling and the days on market are continuing to go up is because you can see you're way above the price per square foot, and you're also slightly above I don't want to say slightly, but you're very above the pricing overall. However, if you were to, go back to my original here with my crazy great deal, you can see that gray line moves because now you're below the price per square foot. And I'm sorry, because I know all those data points are highlighting every time my mouse goes over it. And then you are also below the overall price. So what this does is it's an interactive map for you to sit down and have those conversations with your customers. And I like to say it shows where you fall amongst the stars, right? Because when they say, why isn't it selling? Or why didn't they take my offer? Why this? Why that? Well, let's look at the true data point, right? Like, let's really analyze this and look at this and see where you land amongst everything. And when you're looking through this and then they say to you, well, how come like these people got this price? Why can't I be one of those really cool far out stars? You can click on it. It will give you the MLS number and the address right here, some of the basic data, but you can then pull it up on the MLS and see why. Oh, well, they had a crazy water park in the backyard with an outdoor kitchen. That's why. That's why they got $2 million for their property. So it allows you to analyze that data further when they say, well, okay, yeah, maybe, when you put this to 850 and you're like, well, look, you're way too high. And they're like, well, what about these people out here? Go ahead and analyze that with them. But just a really, really cool way to sit down with your customers, talk through all of those data points. And again, show them where they land. This gives them a great visual, gives you a great visual. Some of us are data people and some of us are like visual people. And I need the picture of it. So that will help you out. That will help them out. And then you can continue to play around with it until you find something that lands them closer maybe to that median average price. and helps you guys decide exactly what it is that either you want to offer or possibly that you want to list it at. But again, it's just one of my favorite things because you come out here and play with the data all you want. Also, if you're just trying to really figure out the market, I had somebody who referred to it the other day as a conversation with the market.
Okay.
And I'm like, I like
love
that.
That is so cool.
We're all nerdy, right?
Yeah.
So out here just playing around with it, moving it around, trying to, really, really get to know the market. That will help you as well. So it looks like we might have a question. Let's see. How did you get to this graph? Okay, so in here, Domus Analytics, we'll go all the way back to the beginning. So Domus Analytics is the first tool that we're looking at. Inside of Domus Analytics, you've got the 4 different tools. The one that we've just covered, that last graph, is the Pricing Insights one. So you click on the logo, and that will take you right into here. And again, the one call that we get the most on this is when people don't see any data on there. So if we deselect, so you can see here, if I accidentally like unselect one of those boxes and I haven't done anything, no data shows up. So just make sure if you see this screen, for sure, just start combing through these. A lot of times too, it's like if you select Fort Myers, but then you don't select a Fort Myers zip code and you select maybe like a Cape Coral zip code, it doesn't match up. You're not going to get any data. So comb back through, make sure all these boxes match, and make sure there's something selected in every box. So, but all right, I won't spend all of my time on my favorite tool.
We love Domus.
We did love Domus. So the last thing about Domus on here is, we've gone through these 4 different tools that you can use to grab stuff for you as the agent. But they also have this great tool. If you double click next to the little hoot owl, these are coding, so you can embed these tools onto your website. So some of these you can embed, not all of them. But you could take these. If you don't know how, we're not website developers. We can show you how to get the code, but you got to talk to your website developer. The code is there for you to certainly steal and for you to use. But when you click on these, it'll show you what the customers get on your website to give you an idea before you plug in the code. So this simple infographic that plugs into the site, this again, is that tool that we looked at earlier. I don't know why it's saying, oh, that's just their example of the real MLS. So, but the way that we were able to interact with them earlier, your customers, your consumers, your visitors on your site, they will be able to interact with the tool as well. So if you want something where they can go out, they can play around with it. Again, that button is right here. Double click on that and it'll give you the code for that. All right. So next up, what we just did was the Domus Analytics, okay? But again, we've got multiple market stats tools for you guys. So the next one up is Market Stats, which is also called InfoSparks. So for those of you who have been a member for a while, we had InfoSparks for a really long time, and then we switched over to Domus Analytics for a while. We had a lot of people who really, really missed InfoSparks. So we've brought it back. It is part of that Showing Time Plus suite. So Showing Time owns a lot of different tools that communicate to each other inside of the MLS, which is really cool. So Showing Time, Offers Manager, InfoSparks, and Dot Loop are all owned by the same company and they work together, they communicate together. So InfoSparks, again, being one of those tools, it came with that suite of tools, making it available to you guys again. So in here, a different layout. Some people prefer InfoSparks, some people prefer Domus Analytics, whichever you prefer, totally fine, but they do work completely different. So you'll notice a lot of the same things in here as far as same parameters, but the way that you build out your data, completely different. So let's start from the top corner and work our way down. This is the entire interface here. You don't really leave the screen, so it's not like the last tool where you had multiple different things. Your whole working space is right here. First and foremost, the tab at the top, you're going to choose which area you want to search. So do you want the entire MLS? You can see here it's selected by all. You can go to specific cities, specific counties, zip codes, or geo areas. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to pick on Cape Coral today. And once you select out your area, you can see our graph here. I keep calling them maps today. Our graph here updates as we continue to click, and then you can see here it's logging it on the side as well. So you can select out a specific price range, a specific property type. I know we were picking on some single family earlier. Um, Construction type, new construction, previously owned, square footage, bedrooms, bathrooms. Okay. So these are the different parameters that you can do. You can also collapse this once you're done with it if you need more room for your graph, or you can keep it open if you would like. So once you have selected out all of your parameters, your data will display here at the bottom. And you say, well, what data am I looking at? Right now, it's median sales price, okay? But if you wanted to change out and look at some different parameters, for this one, all of your parameters run here down along the bottom. I know earlier we were looking at days on market because that's a hot topic. So we can pull that open and look at that. They've got price per square foot, monthly supply, pending sales, closed sales. Again, a lot of those parameters that you saw in Domus Analytics. What's really interesting about this tool, however, since they are owned by Showing Time, it communicates with the showing platform and you've got data on showings. So I just had a phone call, what was that, last week, I believe she came in, and she said, well, they're not getting any showings and, what's wrong with my listing? Is it broken? Are you guys even sending it out? And it's like, yes. So we pulled it up on here and I showed her, here's the conversation that you can have with your seller. So it was like a 3-2, it was an older home in Lehigh. So we selected out, we matched all the parameters to their house to get it, as close as possible. And then we went out here and we looked at this. This is how many showings until the property goes pending. And it had shown that it took 10 showings, like this one here, 10 showings until it went pending. So that means on an average, you'd have to have 10 people view your property before you get it under contract. And then we went to showings per listing. And so this one, 5.6 showings that they're getting on average per listing right now. And for the Lehigh example that we looked at last week, it was 10 until it went pending, and then listings are getting an average of 4 showings. I said, so if it's taking 10 to get it under contract, and most of your properties are only getting 4, I said, what does that tell you?
Exactly.
That stuff is sitting and it's going to take a while. And, for her example, she said, well, they've only had 2 showings. And I said, well, the lifetime of a listing right now is only getting 4. So, great conversations to have with them aside from just days on market, right? We're pulling up days on market, we're looking at it, and we're going, see, everybody else has high days on market, but there's more data points than just the days on market. Let's talk about the showings. Let's talk about, the pricing, talk about the entire story of that property when you're trying to handle the objectifiers of, clients that are upset right now. But some of my favorite data to look at out here is the showings because they're pulling that all in from Showing Time.
Honestly, so interesting to even have that part of it.
Yeah. Sometimes, like I said, it's about painting a story and not to manipulate the situation because the data is the data, but to properly be able to communicate the whole picture, right?
Exactly.
So out here, when you're looking at the graph, aside from the parameters that you're looking to analyze, you also have the option out here to do the bar graph versus the line graph. And again, some data points, bar graphs are best. Other data points, the line graphs are best. This is looking at a 3-year span. You can put it all the way out to the max of how long they've got the data pulled back. 10 years, 5 years, it lands automatically on 3 years. And the data is being compared month over month, right? So we've got June, May, February, but you could do every 3 months, every 6 months, or yearly if you wanted a smoother graph. But here's where the data gets pretty cool. So you see what all of your options are, your filters, your data. You can also go ahead and add in another area for comparison, right? So we did Cape Coral, but let's go ahead and just, right off the bat, it gives us the entire MLS, okay? So a lot of times people will say, well, I see that the average price, we'll just say something crazy. The average price is 800,000. It's like, okay, well, that's the entire MLS, or overall, you're reading the news press. It's not focusing on your community or your area, your city. So that's where you could pull this out and say, hey, here's everything. And then here's you. So for this example, Cape Coral's way higher up than the entire MLS. But you also could paint the story of, aside from comparing, like maybe you compare Fort Myers to Cape Coral, or, one county to another county. What's really cool is I could come in here and I could select Cape Coral again and then build out the parameters. So this one was single family, right? Oops, we'll click up here. So this one has single family selected. For this one, we could do condos, townhouses, whichever one it might be. So we'll do condos for this one, and then compare those to each other. You also have, there we go, the button to separate it back out or combine the data. I'm like, what happened to my graph? So yeah, that button's going to be important for you there. So now we're kind of looking at the condos to the single family homes in those areas. So, a lot of times people say, well, overall, especially when you go to sell a condo, they're like, overall, the price in Cape Coral is such and such. Okay, but you've got a condo. We're not looking at overall prices. Your condo price is going to be dramatically different from single family. So you separate it out. And again, it's all about telling that story and trying to communicate to them, because they don't understand how to interpret data. They see things in the news, they see things online, and they automatically assume that it fits their situation when it certainly doesn't, right? So compare city to city, compare different parameters to different parameters, because you can choose the same city or same zip code, same area, multiple times for whatever it is that you might need. But that, in a nutshell, is all of the InfoSparks tool. Now, if you wanted to share it out once you've got everything that you need, you've got your story told, you can click the print button, or you can press this share button and it'll give you the different options there. If you wanted to just export the data, you could get an embedded code, because then they can play around with the graph like we do here. When we hover, it gives us the data points. That embed code is going to give you the same option. Social media, it'll help you share it right to social media. And then also the PDF option as well. So lots of different options to get it out to your intended audience there as well. All right, I don't see any questions for market stats, so I believe we're good there. Last but not least is SunStats. So we've gone through Domus Analytics, and then we've gone through InfoSparks, which is also called Market Stats. And now you're wondering, well, what else could another tool possibly do that we don't already have? So if you go to floridarealtors.org, you'll see that the SunStats button is right up here in the top. And when you click it, it's going to ask you to log into your Florida Realtors portal. That is different from your MLS portal, right? If you've never made your Florida Realtors account before, go ahead and do that. And then make sure you save it. It's totally, again, different platform when you log in. The most important thing about SunStats that sets it out from the tools that we provide you is that this has all of the data from across the state. So they pull in our MLS along with everybody else's MLSs. So if you're looking to compare and contrast data from other areas that you may not be a member of or be a part of, this is going to be the best tool for you. So when you log in, you can see that it says Cape Coral, Fort Myers, MSA for single family homes. This is because it knows where my membership is. So it's automatically put me in the Cape Coral, Fort Myers category. Single family home is the last one I looked at. You can change this. So it shows you what the parameters, and if you've never taken a geographical statistics class, MSA is Metropolitan Statistical Area, is what that stands for. And that is like what the government uses for the breakdown of, like, that's what like the census uses and different things like that. That's how they analyze data. So that's how they've got these broken down here. However, you can look at the entire state if you wanted to. You have all of the other MSAs. So if we click on something else, what's great is it'll show you on the map exactly what it is that that MSA is. But then if you don't want to go by the metropolitan statistical areas, you can go by county. If you scroll down further, you've got the cities, all the cities, the zip codes. So same thing in our other tools, right? Whether you wanted to do zip codes or cities or whole counties, you certainly can do that. So if you come up here and you type in Lee, we could do all of like Lee County, right? Which is almost the same as that metropolitan metropolitan statistical area. Good grief.
Mhm.
So then do you want to do all property, single families? They've got townhomes and condos grouped together and then manufactured homes separated out. We'll pick on single family homes for now. And you're going to notice through this process that we don't have as many filters as the other tools do. That's why your MLSs are so hyper local. So, hyperlocal data is, like around here in Cape Coral, especially like we have a canal waterfront wonder of the world. But other areas in Florida don't have
Right.
as many canals. So we've got so many fields around canals because that's what's important to us.
Right.
Other areas, like you go up like towards like middle Florida or like top of Florida, they've got a lot of stuff around like farms and ranches and because they've
Very
got
true.
more of
Yeah.
that. And that's why you've got MLSs that aren't so much statewide, but maybe there's like we've got our MLS here and the MLS is up north because we've got that hyperlocal data. But you take all those MLSs and you combine them together like we have here, and that creates the need for just basic filters. So you won't see as many filters in here as you do the other MLSs. All right, so sorry, I'm gonna hop back really quick. We've got a question. Shannon said, "Where do I find InfoSparks? I don't see it in my list of tools."
Mhm.
Um, Shannon, on here, which is, I know it's really confusing. So when they bought the tool out, they renamed it Market Stats. So it's right here. Market Stats and InfoSparks are the same thing.
Mhm.
So absolutely, you're welcome. All right, so back into SunStats. So when you first land in here, this is your dashboard. It's gonna give you the parameter. It's going to show you what the most current one is, right? June of 2026. This is last month's data. It's going to compare it to June of 2025. It's going to give you the percent of change. And then it's so funny. People call all the time. They're like, what are these lines? What are these worms on the side? I'm like, no, those are literally charts.
Yeah.
What can you do with that? I have no clue except for see like the trajectory. Is it pointed up? Is it pointed down? Is it haywire? Is it completely flat? Like they literally put the chart lines in this
Just to give us the
thing.
visual, I guess.
Visuals. So you've got again the different parameters here. A lot of them similar to the ones that you've seen us talk about today. Like how many closed sales are there? What's the median sales price, the average sales price? Where's our favorite one that we've been picking on all day? Days on market, months of inventory. So those are your parameters. And what this does, it gives you a quick view of it. However, the part that you'll probably spend a lot more time in is your chart builder and your infographic creator. So chart builder, you can see here. So we've been looking at all morning charts. So month over month, there is your data. Now, what's cool is you can download the chart. It'll give you the image, or you can download it with branding. And it will, I'll show you guys here in a second what that branding looks like. It will download it with your branding attached to it, which is great because then boop, just put it up on social media. You don't have to make it look pretty. You don't have to add your fluff in. It does that for you. But what's great about the chart builder, again, running down, just like we had a moment ago, you can choose your area. So we're in the Cape Coral Fort Myers MSA. If you want to do the whole state of Florida, right? Not something that you can do in the other tools. It's just our data when you're looking at Domus Analytics and InfoSparks. But here in this tool, you can do Florida. You could also pull a graph of us and then pull a graph of Sarasota and compare the two, right? People always compare us to Sarasota. So, or you can compare us to Miami, whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish there for your storytelling. The metric, right now we're looking at closed sales. However, all of those metrics that we saw on the main dashboard, those are all listed here. So you could go ahead and pull those out as well. We're looking at single family, but if you wanted to do townhouses and condos, you could. Manufactured homes. If you want to break out the data monthly, quarterly, yearly, you certainly can. Your date range, chart options to change out that chart. And then there are some advanced options. So you can select out certain price tiers. Then what's really cool about this one, you've got the traditional sales, foreclosures or short sales. I know a lot of people are calling in asking about that lately. It's like, you'll see this data in the other tools as well. Sometimes they just refer to them as distressed sales. They'll put foreclosures and short sales together. And when they do that, they call it distressed sales. So people are asking a lot lately, like, oh, are the foreclosures on the rise? Well, you could look at us and you can compare us to, I don't know, the Panhandle or Sarasota or anything that you needed to. And then you could also compare the data here. When you're done filling these out, you do have to click apply. It's not going to continue to move with you until you click apply, then it will upload. What's great about this is aside from the chart that you're looking at, you also have all of the data points here. So you can see here, January 2025, closed sales 812. You come down here, January 2025. Oh, we'd have to go to the next page. But they'll all list here. So you can download that sheet if you want like the Excel sheet and the hard data to make your own graph or to do your own thing. You can certainly do that. Or you can just steal the image that it's already created for you. So last but not least is the infographic creator. This is more of that visual piece that's used for social media and your newsletters and things like that. The graph, hard data, for those of us that are nerdy out there, we just like our charts. But if you need something nice and pretty, your infographic creator is here. You can see on this one, it already stamped the branding on the bottom. So it'll put all of your information and your logo there. If you need to edit that, make sure you come up to your settings and change out your branding so that that matches if it doesn't automatically pull in there. What's great about this is just like on the last one, where when you were building your chart, you could choose your parameters and like how the data is compared. You get to choose each of these blocks as well. So you can see if we scroll down here, metric 1, closed sales, that's what's here in box number 1, closed sales. Metric number 2, median sales price, box number 2, median sales price. But if you wanted to change those out, move them around, you've got this drop down box and all of these parameters that you can put in there. So you can truly choose whatever it is that you want in there. What's also great is you can choose if you want this to be landscape style, we'll click this, or you can do square style, we'll click apply, and you can see that it changes it out depending on which social media you're posting it to. You also have the option to do one property type, or they can compare it to dual properties. Now, if you change it to dual properties though, since they're comparing it, you only get 3 parameters. So it puts single family up here, townhouses down here, and closed sales compared to closed sales, median sales compared to median sales, active inventory compared to active inventory. And you can change those out, but you see here, you just get 3 metrics instead of the 6 metrics that you get when you choose the one property type. So you can see that how that kind of changes that out there. Continuing to scroll down, you have the same thing that we had before when we built out the chart. Do you want it monthly, quarterly, annually? You can also decide if you want there to be branding or no branding, and then your advanced options are down here again for the price range and the sales type. Whenever you're done, you click apply and you've got this beautiful image here. Now your options on the side, you can download it, which I think is best, right? Download it, upload the image right to your social media. If you want to, they do have the options to share it to the social media, but it does do like a link. And I know sometimes people say that the image doesn't come out correctly. So if you want to really completely control the narrative, I would suggest downloading it and uploading it yourself. Most of the time that also is better for the algorithm to get more views, but that's just an insider tip. So that is everything inside of SunStats, which again, this one is through Florida Realtors so that you can compare all of the data across the MLSs that partake in the Florida Realtors tools. So with that, that is all of our tools for today. I'll stop sharing my screen for a quick second, see if we've got anything else left in the chat. I don't think that we do. But so if you guys have any questions on how to use these tools, or maybe there's a specific niche type of thing that you're trying to accomplish and you want to figure out how to do it, that's what we're here for here in the MLS. Help you guys figure out which button it is you need to click, which parameter you might need to use, or how to find those tools. In the meantime, I super appreciate you guys coming out to our MLS Monday today, and we hope to see you guys next week right here on MLS Monday.
Yes, thank you so much for joining.